add my yarn with the lark's head over and then forming the hole and putting your strands through the hole and pulling through. And I'm going to continue with my other strands. I'm going to start my wall hanging with the first 4 strands, and I'm going to make 2 square knots. Just to lock this in place. The next row I'm doing alternating. Drop the first 2, start with the next 4. Here's my first square knot. I'm going to do 1 more, and then I'm going to work across my row with 2 square knots. So starting with the end 4 cords, again 2 square knots, and continue across the row. Find my placement, and then I'm going to wrap the ends around, and I think that's about right. And then I'll come over here and just wrap this around as well and just check my placement of where I want that to sit. I'm going to bring this down a little bit more. Start by making a square knot here. And I know the driftwood is kind of sitting in the way a little bit, but I'm going to bring it up just so it's sitting above, because I want that to support the driftwood. So I'm going to go about there. So I've got a square knot above. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring these 2 cords over top of my driftwood, leave these behind, and I'm now going to form another square knot to hold the piece of driftwood in place. So I'm going to continue on with my square knots and do the same as I did on the first one. So I'm going to start in this section. We'll take 2 from this side and 2 from this side, and we're going to start. Because I'm designing as I go, I have to kind of work out the design and just see what fits. So on the side here, I ended up just doing some alternating again with 2 square knots, and then alternating 2 square knots and 2 square knots. So this is actually evened it out to kind of blend with what I've got happening here. So I can come in here and we'll work with a spiral, which is always working on the one side. So if you're going to start on the left, continue on the left. Here's my spiral, and I'm also going to spiral this section as well. So I want to attach this side with these 4 strands, but just to help me do that, I'm just going to pick up this one here and tie a slip knot in here so it'll hold in place so I get the right placement. Now, as I did back in here, I'm going to come in and form 1 square knot just above. Now I'm going to attach this to secure this end of the piece. So I'm just going to come up and tie just a loose knot in here again, just so it'll hold in place so I can release this and form my knot up in here. And now it's attached so I can release this. And here, because I've got a spiral over here, I've got kind of spiraled my strands, my designed strands, and I'm going to do a spiral here. So I'll use my outside for my base. I'm just going to hook it up to my driftwood just to keep it there. take my first one and start my half hitches. So over and through. And once more, over and through. And continue the next one. So I finished off my half hitches. I just came down, came back around, and came back the other way. And this piece has got a fun little piece coming out here, so I'm going to do my square knot and I'm going to attach it right to there to place it on. Before I attach any of these strands to this piece of driftwood, I've decided I'm going to make one more line down here with half hitches to come right into here. So I formed the half hitches coming down here in a bit of a scoop. I'm now going to come on my left side and I'm going to come around and come this way with half hitches. I've done my half hitches along with additional here just so it keeps the macrame hanging straight down. We don't scrunch it together. And then I'm just going to take these last two strands and these two strands here, and we'll make our square knot, and we'll just bring those together. And this will just be coming right up to the top here. And we join it together. And I'm going to join these 4 sections to the driftwood, same as before, starting with one square knot, then bringing your strands over to attach to the driftwood. And now I'm going to work the whole way across, starting with the first 4 and doing my double square knots, and I'm just going to follow this line. And now we'll do a row of alternating. Drop the first 2, and I'll start with these 4 strands. So I did 5 rows, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of alternating square knots with 2 double square knots on each section. And now I'll be adding my last piece of driftwood. So that's where we've attached it, and I think I will do another one here, here, and here, and along, the same as we did up at the top. So I've decided I'm going to finish off this piece by spiraling these sections maybe on an angle on both sides. I've finished my spirals on each side, and I've left them on an angle. And now I want to take my outer strand, I'm going to bring it across and just hook it to my driftwood there. And I'm going to do double half hitches, and I'm going to follow the line of my piece of kelp. My half hitch row has been completed following the line of this piece above. And I've now decided to add this one last piece. I've attached this piece with 3 sections. And now I've decided I'm going to just do square knots down to here and then fasten it off. So this piece has been attached by the square knots and fastened off on the end here. I'm going to just leave that hanging and not add any more of the strands to this piece. And I've decided I'm going to come back in here now and do another row of half hitches along. So I'll start with this one and just hook it up into a piece of driftwood just to hold it stationary. And I'll come in here and start my next row. To finish off this section of double half hitches coming down here, I've ended with basically no strands here. So I've just done quite a few half hitches along this one, just using the same piece all the way along. And that's just bulked this up enough. And I can now take this and add it to these strands down here, and I'll now make a square knot just to attach this to hold it in place. I've almost finished my half hitches coming down this way to join into this part here. So I'm just going to make a few more half hitches in here just to fill up the gap so we've got a nice solid line. And then I will be joining it to my next grouping of 4 to make 1 square knot to tie it off. Now I'll be taking these 2 and these 2 here, and I'll just make a square knot. Join them together. So I'm going to take these 4 strands and make 1 more square knot here. And I'm going to do 1 more square knot here. And that, I think, will just complete it that much more. Just bring it all together. Again, the beauty of designing as you go. You see something you want to change, and change it, and just see how you like it. And I've brought that together, so I think that's just fine. So as soon as I start getting some shorter ends, that's the time I decide, well, I'm going to finish off my work. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to follow the line of my design here and cut my strands in a nice U shaping. To make it easier for cutting, I'm just going to come in with a piece of masking tape in with my scissors. And now that you have taken your tape off, you'll now unravel all your cords by turning it in the opposite direction. On this particular wool, it has 2 strands, so you'll just separate 2 strands of wool. And the last step is to cut 9 strands 2 yards long, and I'll be dividing that in 3 sections, so I'll have 3 strands each, and I will be braiding that to use for my hanger. So I'll leave about an 8-inch tail and then just tie a basic knot. So I'll just use part of this driftwood as an anchor for my hanger for braiding, separating into my 3 groupings of 3, and braid away, right over, left over, right over, and it's just a simple braid. And I'm just going to attach my braid in between these 2 knots here, just simply tying it in a knot again. Thanks for watching. I hope that gave you some ideas on how to add some more accents to your wall hangings by adding driftwood. If you would like more further instruction on how to tie the macrame knots, just click up here and go to my playlist on how to tie macrame knots, and that will help you. If you would love to subscribe to my channel, Crafty Patty, just click down here for further arts and crafts. Thanks for watching again. Bye-bye.